Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome into the Bucknuts Morning Five here on June 1st, 2016. I am Dave Biddle, joined by Alex Gleitman. Alex, Shaun Wade, you had some good news on the site regarding Ohio State and Shaun Wade. Give the listeners the latest on Shaun Wade for anybody who might have missed that.
Yeah, so Shaun is, actually he was supposed to visit the weekend of May 21st, his basketball team, E1T1 in the EYBL. They were supposed to come up to Ohio and play a tournament. They actually waited too long to book their plane tickets, so things got a little bit expensive, and they scrapped the trip. And Shaun, the big thing about that trip was that Shaun was supposed to come with his parents, who have not yet been to Ohio State, despite the fact that their son has been committed to Ohio State since January 11th of 2015. So about a year and a half now, he's been committed. He's been to Ohio State. His parents, he's from Florida, the Jacksonville area. They have not been to Ohio State, so they were supposed to come with him. So that was a really big visit. And at the time, I put up something on the site, spoke to Shaun's father, Randy, and Randy told me that, they were going to look to reschedule the visit for the summer. And fast forward a couple weeks, and here we are. And this weekend, starting on Saturday, Shaun Wade and his parents will fly up to Columbus. They'll be in Columbus on Saturday. They are leaving on Sunday, so they'll get some one-on-one, face-to-face time with Urban Meyer, Kerry Coombs, Greg Schiano, the entire Ohio State coaching staff, the academic people. Ohio State will try to squeeze in as much as they can during that span that they're on campus. And, that's going to be a pretty big visit as far as maybe kind of a turning point. Does Shaun Wade stick with Ohio State, or does he continue to look around and maybe sign somewhere else in February? And then the even bigger news, the following week, Shaun will be back on campus June 10th with his Pro Impact 7-on-7 team and training group. So Ohio State's going to get a 5-star commit on campus in back-to-back weeks, and probably, outside of Todd Sibley, of course, the most likely commit to flip to another school. So this is a really big news for Ohio State. They're thrilled to get Shaun in back-to-back weekends. And, this could be a big step forward toward retaining him as part of their 2017 recruiting class.
I want to ask you about another 2017 defensive back, Amir Riep from Cincinnati Coleraine, and I think Ohio State having Kerry Combs on the staff. I mean, it's just huge. He's Mr. Cincinnati Coleraine. I mean, he's a legend down there, but that doesn't mean that, from everything I'm reading, doesn't mean Amir Riep is a lock to Ohio State. Bill Kurlick did an update on the site today on Amir Riep. What are you hearing about Amir Riep? Do you think Ohio State's clearly the team to beat? Do you think it's pretty close? Just tell the listeners about Amir Riep.
I mean, I think Ohio State's the team to beat. I do think that for a long time, people thought it was an absolute lock that he was going to end up in the class. But it seems that Michigan State is a real contender for his services. They had offered before Ohio State. He's built a really good relationship with Harlan Barnett. I believe he's their defensive backs coach there in East Lansing. And that relationship is real, and that's what's keeping Michigan State, giving them a fighter's chance, not to mention the fact that Mark D'Antonio and Coach Barnett are sitting there saying, Amir, look how many young defensive backs they already have on their roster, not to mention who they're bringing in. You go there, you might get buried. You come here, you could play right away. And Ohio State's telling Amir he's going to be able to compete for a spot right away. They're obviously anticipating Darian Conley leaving for the NFL after this year, and they're telling Amir, that spot's going to be open for grabs, as is potentially the other spot, whoever wins it, Denzel Ward or Marshawn Lattimore this year. So I don't think that the playing time thing is going to get to Amir, but I think Michigan State has made this a lot closer than people think. And, Alabama coming in and offering the other day, Amir is going to go down and participate in the Sound Mind, Sound Body Atlanta camp. I believe it starts today or tomorrow, and then he's going to go visit Alabama this weekend. So, they could find themselves in the mix. They've gone to Cincinnati before, and Ryan Kelly, who was drafted in the first round of the NFL draft this year, a center, or second round maybe it was, but he's from Cincinnati, and they got I'm blanking on the kid's name, Derek Keith. They got him a wide receiver from Cincinnati a few years ago. So they're no strangers to that area. Nick Saban's, an Ohio guy, and they can be a competitor too. But all in all, I think Ohio State is still in a good spot right now. That's where my crystal ball is, and I'm going to keep it there until I hear otherwise.
Speaking of Jim Harbaugh, I love this. There's a little feud between Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban brewing. This is great. Saban spoke out against satellite camps. I don't think he mentioned Michigan by name, but he was just saying how he thought it was bad and it's all about recruiting, and he didn't have anything nice to say about satellite camps. Well, Jim Harbaugh on Twitter last night fires back, time-stamped 8:17 p.m., May 31st, exactly. Here he is, Jim Harbaugh, quote, "Amazing to me. Alabama broke NCAA rules, and now their head coach is lecturing us on the possibility of rules being broken at camps. Truly amazing." That's just great right there. Now, when he's talking about Alabama breaking NCAA rules, do you think he's talking about the DJ Fluker situation? There's probably been so many down there I've lost count. What did you make of that, and what do you think he's talking about specifically about Alabama breaking NCAA rules?
I don't know what he's talking about specifically. I mean, it could be a number of things. I mean, Jim Harbaugh is living in Jim Harbaugh's world, and everyone's just everyone's just enjoying watching him because this guy, he is a tremendous football coach. Let me just say that, first and foremost, he gets top-notch results everywhere he goes. That said, I mean, this guy, there has to be something a little off with him. I mean, why does he have to respond to this like a 5-year-old child? I mean, every single thing that possibly could, be viewed as a potential shot at him, he has to respond to on Twitter, acting like a teenage kid. It's incredible to me. Just shut your mouth and win football games. No offense to the guy, but he hasn't won anything significant yet. He did not win a Super Bowl. He has not won a Big Ten championship. He has not won a national championship at the college level. I don't think, when he was at Stanford, I don't think he won a Pac-12 championship. I mean, he won some big games against USC. He might have won one there. I don't remember the years he left and Shaw took over and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, this guy has not won anything significant. Just shut your mouth and win football games. I don't get it.
I will say this. He has not taken a shot at Urban Meyer yet. Now, he did take the shot at Gene Smith, calling him Director Smith. So we have Director Smith. We now have him taking a shot at the Alabama head coach. He's taking a shot at what he refers to as the Georgia head coach. Yeah, I was going to say the Rocky. He called Butch Jones the Rocky Top coach. So he's got a little laundry list of people he's taking a shot at. Yeah, but he has not taken a shot at Urban Meyer, and I've noticed that. And he doesn't play the Ohio game like Brady Hoke did. He calls Ohio State. He has not taken one shot at Urban Meyer, and I find that interesting. What's your take on that?
Yet, I will say.
Right.
What shot does he have to take at Urban Meyer? Urban's not the type who's going out into the media and talking smack. He's not that type of guy. So I don't think he's giving Jim any fuel. I think if he gave him fuel, he would fire back. But he's taking shots at Zach Smith with that recruiting propaganda, saying basically look at my receivers coach and look at he took the shot at Zach Smith. He took the shot at Gene Smith, which I think that whole thing was kind of blown out of proportion. I think what Gene said, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think, he was right. Jim Harbaugh is doing things on the recruiting trail because he feels he needs to do those things in order to put himself in the games with the Ohio State, the Alabamas on the recruiting trail. Ohio State doesn't need to do those things, but, things get taken out of context and whatnot. But I just, again, going back to the whole Urban Meyer thing, he hasn't given him any fuel to the fire, and I don't think he's gonna. I don't know if Urban respects him or whatever, but it seems to be that there is some sort of level of respect there between two very good coaches. Again, until Jim Harbaugh beats Ohio State, I'm not sure he even has anything really to say.
I know you did an update on Kellen Mond yesterday. Let's finish the show talking some quarterback recruiting. Bill Kurlick last week on the site said he, seemed to indicate he thought Kellen Mond was going to commit rather soon and probably was going to commit to Auburn. You seem to indicate the same thing yesterday. Talk about that a little bit, and also talk about Tate Martell. Who is the favorite to land Tate Martell at this point?
Yeah, so starting with Kellen Mond, I mean, I've been saying for a while, I think Ohio State needs to see more of Kellen Mond before they're ready to go all in and accept a commitment from him. I think that they thought that the film, his high school film, was good enough to get their interest, but not good enough for him to be an automatic take. When he took the visit to Ohio State, I think it was for the spring game, that was a very good step in the right direction. I hear Kellen was very impressive on that trip. And then when Tim Beck and a couple other coaches went down to IMG Academy this spring to watch that team work out, they were very impressed with what they saw out of Kellen there, which was another step in the right direction. But I think Ohio State wanted Kellen to come to their camp, one of their camps in June, so they could put him through their own workout, get their full evaluation, and then Urban Meyer can make a final decision. You know, am I going to take this kid now if he wants in, or am I going to wait for Tate Martell, later in the year? And, you know, the whole Art Briles thing, I think, fast-forwarded the process a little bit. But apparently, from what I'm told, Kellen always wanted to make a final decision, I guess, this week, prior to him leaving for the Elite 11 event this weekend, where they will decide the finalists out of the 24 semifinalists or whatever the group is at now. So apparently, you know, Kellen wants to make a decision potentially as soon as this week. I'm sure Ohio State, if they do want to continue to recruit him, they're trying to probably push that decision back. But from everything I'm hearing, Kellen Mond does intend to make a decision sometime in the very near future. And if he does, it will likely be Auburn. So that said, you know, looking at Tate Martell, I think right now, from everything I'm hearing, if he had to sign today, Ohio State would be where he would be signing. I was told after his visit to Ohio State that put them in the number 2 position behind Texas A&M. He's obviously since decommitted from A&M, which then vaulted Ohio State to that top position. I believe USC and Cal, where Jake Spavital, who was his main recruiter at Texas A&M, is now coaching. I think those are the 2 schools that are the main competition for Ohio State. And, the word on the street is that Tate's supposed to come visit Columbus in a few weeks with his family. He does have a grandfather in Ohio and some family in Ohio, which is obviously a good thing for the Buckeyes. And he came out with his dad and visited with his grandpa the last time he was here in the spring. But if he brings out, you know, the rest of his family, that's obviously a good sign for Ohio State as well. And I think the sooner this ends, if there's a summer commitment, and keep in mind Tate's an early enrollee, so this thing isn't going to National Signing Day, but if Tate commits in the summer, I think that's a really good thing for Ohio State. If this drags out through the fall and visits happen and things of that nature, I think, you know, you're kind of treading into some dangerous territory. But right now, I feel like Ohio State's in a good spot with Tate Martell, as well as his good friend and former teammate, Tyjon Lindsey. So that would be an outstanding dynamic duo for Ohio State.
So the Buckeyes are the favorite to land Tate Martell at this point, but as you mentioned, they want him to commit over the summer. What do you think the chances are that he will do that? Because everything that I've read from you and Bill and everybody else, Steve Wiltfong, sounds like he's going to, as you mentioned, not wait out till signing day since he's going to enroll early, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to commit early from everything I've heard. Have things changed? Could he? Is there a good chance? I know he could commit this summer, but is there an actual legitimate chance that he will do that?
I think there is. I think the odds, you know, if you were betting the situation and whatnot, I think the odds would favor him actually going through and taking at least a few of those official visits in the fall and then maybe making a decision halfway through the fall. But I do think that there is a legitimate shot. If he comes back to Ohio State with his family and kind of everyone is on the same page, like Ohio State is the pick. This is the place to be. I could play for Urban Meyer. I'm a perfect fit in this system. I have a pretty good feeling Tyjon Lindsey, you know, my boy's going to be here. I know they have great playmakers. They have a tremendous class, great offensive line. If every, you know, he's got family in Ohio. If everything clicks, you know, I think, you know, I'm not saying he would do it on the spot after that visit, but he might take a couple weeks, maybe take a couple unofficial visits in the summer just to make sure. And then, I don't think it's out of the question he pulls the trigger in the summer. But, again, the odds would probably favor Tate going through his visits.
Great insights, as always, out of Alex Gleitman. Thank you, Alex, and thank you to the listeners for tuning into the show. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day. Let's hear some Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.